Web Technology and its application, subject code 17, CS 71, and the lecture number 71, right? So in the previous class, we have studied the definition of CSS, what is a CSS syntax, then what are the location of styles, right? CSS is a cascading style sheet. The name itself indicates the cascading of styles are done in web document, right? The CSS which has its own structure and rules. How the other languages have its own structure, CSS also has its own set of rules. Based on the rule, you need to define a CSS. So using this syntax, there are three ways of adding a locations of a styles in a web document. The main three ways are inline style sheets, document style sheet, and an external style sheet. External style sheet. So inline style sheet, which is only for a specific element of an HTML. Then the document style sheet, which is for whole document. So for the whole document, you can provide a set of styles so that you can make your web pages very attractive one, right? Then the third location is a external one. So third, which has a highest priority, whenever you use a external style sheet in your web document, the other two are overridden with the styles. Overridden with the styles, right? So external style sheet, where you need to define a extension .css extension file externally, and you have to include it in a web application, web document. So HTML file. So CSS has to be defined separately as an external file. Then that CSS file has to be added, embedded within a HTML page under the head section. Under the head section. Right. So now we'll see how the locations of styles are used in different ways in today's lecture. Right. So today's lecture we'll see the selectors, different forms of selectors. So selectors are nothing but how you can add a different way of a styles to the document. Right. So there are many ways of adding selectors. You can group them, or you can use individual, or you can use ID hash important only for the important content of a web pages, right? In different ways, the selector forms are applied. Now let us begin with the today's lecture, selectors, right? Selectors which need to use a selector forms to tell the browser which element has to be affected, which element will be affecting by using the different selector forms. So CSS selectors allow users to select the individual elements. It is nothing but a specific HTML element, or you can use a specific tag of an HTML. For example, you can only apply it for the H1 tag, heading tag, or you can use it for a paragraph. In this way, you can apply an individual element for the CSS selectors. Then you can also use multiple HTML elements. So multiple is nothing but you can give for H1 as well as H4 or as well as H6, or you can use paragraph, or you can use strong element. So number of elements can be affected with the selector forms, right? The third way, elements that belong together in some way. So it can be belonging to some other way. So where you can add a styles for the web pages, right? Then the next comes is elements that are positioned in a specific ways in the document hierarchy. You can use a specific position where the style has to be applied in a top of the table or in a bottom of the table, or only the layout of a table also you can apply. So that is nothing but position. Which position you want to apply a different styles of a web pages, right? Then so there are a number of ways you can add a selector forms. So there are different types of selectors. Now we'll see one by one. So first selector is element selector. Element selector. Element selector, which is only for the specific element of a HTML, which uses the HTML element name. Element name. So you can select all elements by using universal selector also, or you can also specify a simple specific HTML element. So let us look at the example, how the selectors are defined. So already we have seen the syntax of a selector form. So selector which comes in a selector name, then these selectors are applied or embedded using a braces. Under this braces, you have to use a declaration block. A declaration block consists of a name of a property as well as a value of a property. These properties are separated by semicolon. Then the property and values are separated by colon. Right? This is syntax of a adding a selector to the HTML page. Now, how the element selector will be added? So already we have seen element selector directly or indirectly, because we have used the example how the selectors are added in the pages. Right? Now, the selector for a specific element. See here, there is a paragraph element where we are adding a different styles for the pages. Right? So consider the example P. P is an element of a HTML where we are applying margin. Margin is of 5 pixel, then 5 pixel, 0, 10 pixel and 0. So it is nothing but top, left, right and bottom. Top, left, right and bottom. Right? So in that fashion the values will be added. 0 is nothing but there is no value for that side. Right? Then the next comes of property is font weight. Bold we have given a value. So you can change it as a italic also. Then font family. The name of a font. So there are 3 fonts. First one the highest priority, the second one, then the third one. So if the first one is not available in the system, then it will go for the second one, second font. Then the second is also not there, then it goes for third. If all the 3 are not available in the system, then it will go for default family of a font. Right? This is how the element sectors are assigned. Now we'll see the second one is a grouped selection. So now we have seen a single element, how the selectors are added. Now we'll move for the multiple elements, how the selectors are added to the web pages or web documents. Right? So in this, multiple HTML elements are added for the styles. For example, see here, paragraph P, then the division tag, then the aside tag, aside element. So all the elements are separated by comma, Then all these 3 HTML element which has a margin as 0 and padding as 0. The properties are margin and this padding. Right? So you can specify the properties within the brace. It can be a single line property or it can be a multi-line properties. Right? Both are used in assigning a multiple selectors, but it should follow a property rules, how the rules are designed for writing a selectors. Keep in mind that the syntax has to be followed, right? Then it will apply the selectors styles for the web pages. Then second one, here this is single grouping element. So single is nothing but only for the specific element you need to add. Before in a previous selector we have added with the single elements. So is simply adding same styles for the different elements. What we can do, we can combine this. So the advantage of grouping selector is only once you can apply it for a multiple HTML elements, right? This is a main advantage of a multiple selector form. Then how we can reset the values. Before we are setting some values in a single element or a grouping element, those can also be reset. Means whenever you are adding a embedded document or a document style sheets for the web pages, then if you are defined in a body also the inner line style sheet, then those style sheet will be reset by the highest priority of a style sheets, right? So here the HTML elements are HTML, body, division tag, span tag, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6 and paragraph tag. So all of these HTML element which can be reset the values, because what the values you are using within a body tag are overwritten by the document inline style sheet. So it is nothing but there is an disadvantages of inline, because whenever you are using inline with a document, then document overwrites the styles here, overwrites the style. So grouping selectors are often used as a way to quickly reset or remove the browser defaults. Then the goal of using this multiple elements or a grouped elements is to reduce a browser inconsistency with the things such as a margin, line heights, and a font sizes. These reset styles, which can be placed in their own CSS file. You can also refer a external file reset.css to reset the files as a content of a HTML elements, right? Then the next comes a class selector. So in this, there are different class of selectors, cascading style sheets. So you can apply it for different classes. So these classes can use a syntax as an period or a dot. Using dot, class name followed by dot. So this indicates wherever the class is defined as an attribute of a HTML element, only for those HTML element, the class selectors will be applied. So the class selector, which allows you to simultaneously target different HTML elements regardless of their position in the document tree. Right? In the document tree. If a series of HTML element value, then you can target them for a styling by using a class selector, which can be written using a form, a dot followed by a class name. So what we have done in the previous selector forms, we have used a single HTML selector, single class selector, and multiple HTML elements. So grouping of elements and a individual element we have seen. Now we can write it for a class. Class is nothing but different types of a class. So those class names can be defined in a style sheet with the dot and a class name. Let us look at the example, how these class selectors are defined. So class selector can be defined under a head tag of a HTML where using a style as an element. So under the style, you need to define a styles of a class. So those class can be defined using a name. So you can define any name for the class. These class names are user defined class names, and only these class names has to be specified as a attribute of any of the HTML element within a body tag. Only once you need to define those class selector, then use those class selector whenever it is required. So reusability can be done under the class selectors. Otherwise, what you need to do again and again, you need to define a styles for the HTML element, right? So look at the example. So first line head, then title, you can omit the title because it's an optional one. Then style element, under style element, which styles has to be updated for the document. So font style, italic. So previously we have seen bold. So you can also mention italic, right? Then color brown. So color of the font. So it will be in any of the color. You can use any colors. You can use hexadecimal values. You can use also a binary values. You can use a decimal value for the color declaration, right? Color properties. Then close the selector, that is what we have created using a brace. Then close the style element. Then close head. Then open the body element. So under the body, you write the actual web page content. So here we have used 4 to 5 HTML element, that is H1, division, paragraph, then HR. HR is nothing but a horizontal line. If you want a horizontal line after some content, then use HR. right? So here h1 tag, first tag of a body element is h1, which contains a attribute as class, and what the class name you have specified with the styles, that is dot first. Dot indicates a class selector. Now we need to give the class equal to name of the class, so that class name as a first. If you are used the capital letters, use it capital letter. If you are using a small letter, then use their small letters. Class equal to first, then the content of the h1 element, then close the h1 element. Similarly, there is an paragraph tag. Under this paragraph tag also we are referring a class selector as a first. Then division tag is closed. Again the next division tag, then paragraph. So what it indicates, you can reuse the class styles in you by using the class selectors. Class selectors, right? Look at the web browser here. In this browser, it is indicating a class selectors, right? Reviews also having a class selector as well as content of the paragraph, first division paragraph and second division paragraph. Just see how this font style will be italic and color will be in brown, right? In this fashion, you can apply the selectors to the web pages, right? So the next one is ID selector. So based on ID, so ID is nothing but you can specify a special value for the identifier, the style sheets. Here, these ID selectors are used for defining a with the prefix of hash or pound, right? So ID selector allows us to target a specific element by its ID attribute. ID selectors are specified in a HTML element with the ID attribute. Class selectors are specified using a class attribute, right? If an HTML element has been labeled with an ID attribute, then you are trying to target a using a ID selector. It has a form as hash or a pound symbol followed by the ID name, followed by the ID name. Here, remember that you should only be using ID once per the page, right? You cannot use multiple identifiers in the page, right? So ID is unique ID for the label, the HTML elements. Unique ID for HTML elements. Now look at the example of ID selectors. So in previous example, we have seen class selectors. So here in the same fashion, under the head with the style element, ID selectors are defined. So ID selectors also has a grouping of styles here. So what we can do for multiple number of elements of HTML document can be applied ID selectors, right? So class selectors can be overwritten by the ID selectors. ID selector, because ID has an highest priority than the class, a grouping element and a single element, right? Because hash indicates an important one. So hash a identifier name, hash with the identifier name. Here the identifier declared as an latest comment. So this is also user defined identifier, and within that you can define a declaration block. The declaration block contains a property name and property value, right? Then close the style head, then body tag. Same example will be written using a ID selectors. ID selector, right? So only for the one division tag, one division element, we are applying the identifier. So what they have said, you remember, only this ID selectors are used for once in a page, once per page. You can define number of identifiers here, identifier selectors, but that can be used only per page, right? So division ID latest comment, then the comment content of the division element, that will be applied using the identifier selectors. Identifier selectors, right? But the class selector can be used anywhere at any position, but identifier can be used only per page, once per page. So I think you understood the difference between class selector and ID selector, right? Now see the differences, ID versus class selector. How to decide identifier and class selectors? ID selector should be only used when referencing a single HTML element, because an identifier attribute only can be assigned to a single HTML. Identifier can ID selector can be assigned only once per a page, but class selector can be used whenever it is referencing for several related elements. So this is the main difference between identifier and a class selector. Now we'll move to the next one, next selector, that is attribute selectors. Attribute selector. So already we know attribute. Attributes are nothing but the values, the main purpose of a HTML element. So each element have a different attributes there. For those attributes, you can specify the styles, right? An attribute selector which provides a way to select HTML elements by either the presence of an HTML element attribute or the value of an attribute, value of an HTML attribute. So this can be a very powerful technique because uneven support by the browser, not only the all browser, but some browser will not support this attribute selectors form. Then attribute selector can be very helpful technique in the styling of hyperlinks and images. Main purpose of using attribute selector is to apply the hyperlink and images for the styles. When you are using images in the page and links in the page. So that time these attribute selectors are very helpful. So now look at the example. So here the example which consists of a attribute selector form. So the style, under the head tag, the style, then under style there is an example, there is an attribute title. Attribute title. So this title is used in a image tag. You should know where the title is used, in which HTML element the attribute is referred. So that attribute name you have to identify first. Then using that attribute name, you can apply some of the styles. Some of the styles. See, title, just see the attribute, how the attribute will be defined in a style element, a square bracket. The attribute of the element will be defined in a square bracket. Then the styles of those HTML elements. See, cursor to help, then bottom, border bottom, text decoration. Then using these styles, the images are displayed. Images are displayed, right? The image source, the image of ca.png, the Canada pictures are displayed with the title Canada flag, and these flags are having a different styles. Here padding bottom has a 3 pixel. Just see here at the bottom in the browser, the bottom is with a thickness of 3 pixels. 3 pixels, right? Then border bottom is 2 pixel dotted line. I think here it is not cleared, but the line is with dotted, right? The line is a dotted line. You can just run it. You will get to know how the difference between a page attribute selector and the class selector or other type of an selector, right? You can add it for different attributes. So see image, you can use multiple images in your web document. Then those image HTML elements can have a attribute selection, attribute selectors, right? So now we'll see how the attribute selectors matches with the some form. So here the main form of a selector, attribute selector, is a square bracket, a specific attribute. Only for it is used for specific attribute. Then when you are using it for a value, a specific value, then it has to be defined using a equal in square bracket, square bracket, because here you can specify a title equal to post from this country. So only for this country, this styles are applied, not for others, right? Then when it is for tilde with equal, a specific attribute whose value match at least one of the words in a space delimited list of words. So it has to be having a matching with the word what you will give in a square bracket. So countries, if it is there in a given statement a country, then that will be applied. Right? So negation equal indicates whose value begins with a specified value. So these are a pattern matching here, right? So it has to be begin with a specified value. So href begins with a male to, then only for that male to the styles will be applied. Then star, whose value contains a substring of the specified tag or a value. So if it is there a flag in a text, then the tag will be, that content will be having a special styles, right? Then the next comes the dollar equal whose value ends with a specified value. So circumflex indicates what? A beginning, and dollar indicates the end of a value, right? So dot PDF. So if it is having a dot PDF in a given text whose element href attribute ends with the dot text, with the text dot PDF, then that content will be having a special styles using the attribute selector form, right? So the next one is pseudo selector. Pseudo selector is a selector which is used to select something that does not exist explicitly as an element in the HTML document tree, but it is still a recognizable selectable object. Selectable object. For example, when you are moving a cursor on the button, so that will be a pseudo selector. So you can focus whenever the cursor is moving on to the text box of a HTML form, then there you can focus that text document, whichever the HTML pages has a text page, text box, those text box will be highlighted when the cursor is on those text boxes. So that is called pseudo selector. So it is not something, does not exist explicitly, but it has some recognizable selectable objects, right? A pseudo clause selector which does apply to an HTML element, but that targets either a particular state or a CSS file in variety of relations, right? The most common use of a pseudo selector is for targeting link states. Link states. We'll see one example using a pseudo selector, how these targets, the pseudo selectors are applied. So here the pseudo selectors are applied for linking a document. Linking a document. See here the pseudo selectors will be given with the name of a attribute, name of a HTML element, along with that a name of a pseudo selector. Name of a pseudo selector, and the HTML element and the name of pseudo selector will be differentiated using a colon. After the HTML element, it will be followed by a colon with link. Colon with link. Then a text, here you need to specify a styles of a HTML document. Text decoration underline. So whatever the links are there, it will be using a underline. Then the color will be using blue. When it is a anchor tag with visited, then the text decoration is underlined with the color changed to purple. If it is hover, then text decoration is none. So default text decoration will be considered and the font weight will be bold. Then if the anchor content will be active, then background color will be yellow, right? With these styles, the pseudo selectors are applied for the document. Just look at the document, how these selectors are applied. In the paragraph, there is an anchor tag href hash. This hash indicates one of the pseudo selector form, right? So here there are 4 pseudo selector forms, and first one indicating the first pseudo selector style sheet. Then the second one indicates next pseudo selector, the third one indicates the third one, then fourth. Right? If you have missed the fourth one, then only first 3 will be just applied for the web pages. Right? Then how this common pseudo class and common pseudo elements are used in a selector form. Right? There are some common pseudo class elements. So first one we have seen at is link, visited, then focus. Focus is nothing but assume that you are filling a form and in that form there are number of text boxes. So you will be in confusion where the cursor will be. So to make a focus where the cursor, where the text box, in which text box the cursor is there, then you can use a pseudo class as an focus. So only the text box will be focused or highlighted. Right? Then hover, which gives you a mouse pointer currently above the content. Right? Then active. So select an element that is being activated by the user. When you click on the text box, then that text box will be active. Checked. Checked is used for whenever you are checking some radio buttons or check boxes. Then first child. First child is select an element which is of the first child of a parent. Right? Then first letter. So select the first letter of an element where it is useful for adding drop caps to a paragraph. First letter of the paragraph will be capital always. So that time you can apply a first letter as a pseudo class element for the selectors. Right? So the last one is contextual selectors. Contextual selector where the combination of selector forms will be applied for the document. Applied for the document. So here it consists of a number of selector forms which you should be in ancestors, descendants or siblings. This contextual selector can applied for the siblings, ancestors or descendants. Right? So we'll see which are the different contextual selector forms. So first selector form is a descendant. Descendant, a specified element that is contained somewhere within another specified element. Then child contextual selector, which is of a direct child of the parent element. Then adjacent sibling, a specified element that is the next sibling of the element. Then general sibling, which is shared the same parent as the specified element. It is not an adjacent sibling, which shares the same parent. Then it is called general sibling. Right? Now we'll see one example of a selector, contextual selectors. So the contextual selector in that descendant selectors. So how this descendant selector will be applied? Just see the division tag, which is a parent, and here the P, which has a child of a element, right? Child element of division. So these two, which has a contextual selector styles for the web page, right? Then see, look at the example where the content styles can be applied using a contextual selectors. So the first one, see here, the first example which will be having a hash. It is nothing but the previous selector, which one pseudo element which is used for the some properties. Here there is a parent tag of this LI unit is an UL, right? So siblings of UL are these three elements. So for these three elements, you can apply a contextual selectors form. All right. So in this way, you can apply for siblings, direct siblings, or a general sibling, or you can use it for descendants. Right. So I want to show you the example also. So this completes the lecture. So in this lecture, what we have studied, the different ways of adding a selector forms to the web pages, right? Different ways of adding a selectors to web pages. So the selectors, there are how many types? There are 6 types. So element selector, which is a specific element. Class selector, the number of elements will be applied. Then ID selector, which is defined using an hash. then it is only applied once in a page. Then attribute selector, based on attribute name and attribute value, the selectors will be applied. Then pseudo element, pseudo class selectors. The last one is an contextual selector, where the contextual selectors will be in different form, like siblings, descendants, or ancestors, right? So you can also refer the book Randy Connolly, chapter 3, 3.4 section, then in the page number 149 to 158. Right? I want to show you a inline style sheet. Just look at the page where you can add the style sheet, share the HTML file. Is this visible? Yes. Harsha, is it visible? What I'm doing in the notepad? Vijay?
Visible.
Yes. So here, this is a file which consists of inline style sheet where you can add a styles for the specific element. So we have used two HTML element, that is H1 and paragraph, right? I'll store this file in a document. Because it's a HTML file, it is only consisting of a inline styles. So no need to store this file as an .css. When you are using external style sheet, then separately CSS file has to be created with the extension .css. Then that file will be added to the HTML page under the head tag, head element, right? So this is a HTML page where the two elements are used with the styles. So you can specify a style attribute under the HTML element H1 and the property values. So color blue, text alignment as center, then the paragraph style is color red. So properties has to be ended with semicolon. Ended with semicolon. So I'll just run now and show you how the output will be. Now look at the output in a browser. Just double click on the document where you have stored the file with the name of a file.html. It will open in the browser with the content. Just here see, this is a heading and a paragraph content. What we have given, the color with blue and center. Text alignment is center, and here the paragraph content, only the color is red, right? So in this way, you can apply a styles for the pages. This is inline style sheet. So how you can apply it for a document style sheet? So you have to use a, which one? A content styles in a body tag, head tag, right? So now I'll share the page web, which file, this one. So in this we need to modify as a document style sheets, right? So I'll write a document style, which one we have used H1 and P. So for H1, I'll just copy the content what we have applied in a inline and I'll paste it here in a H1 tag, right? Then I'll close this. So only this will be applied for H1. I'll remove this one because we are already applied outside. So just H1 tag, which is having a document style sheet. So here you need to mention a head tag. Then under this, a style tag, close the style tag, styles. Now we use close the style tag, head tag. Then save it. See, I have removed H1 styles because this is copied in the document style sheet. Otherwise, both are same, but it will be overwritten by a document style. Now you run it here. So again, you will get a page in browser. So where is the browser? So just I'll refresh the things. So same appearance will be there with the help of a document style sheet. The help of a document style sheet, right? So you have to create an external file .css and add it to your HTML file, right?